saw some, over here at ArrowHead, I saw some awesome stock car racing. I don't know, this USRA stock cars, I don't know, about a month ago. And we've got a couple of really good drivers over here that, go back and forth in between stocks and modifieds. Cody King and Dalton Raxdale, they had a pretty good battle. Some guy from Iowa was there, came down and ran with them. And stock cars in Iowa, that's a pretty big deal up there.
That's where they tote the left front 3 foot off the ground all the way around the racetrack.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to Mid-America Dirt. I'm Skip, and I am super excited to be joined by Mr. Benji Hicks, Mount Airy, North Carolina. Benji, how you doing today?
I'm good. I hope you are, Jason.
Yep, doing good. So we met over Volunteer, and I knew who you were, and I've been watching, kind of from afar for a while, and it was good to meet you. And one thing I didn't know about you was that you build double nickel chassis. Is that right? And you ran pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that night, Friday night, the first night there, you were in third, it looked like, for quite a while, and then started heading backwards there a little bit. So what happened? Can you tell people what happened on that one?
Yeah. Well, it really started. So our game plan going into Bulls Gap was we was going to run Tuesday and Wednesday for sure, and we bought a limited motor to run with a series that's starting back home. It's called the Ridge Runner series, and it's basically bringing steel block racing back to our area. And so their first points races were actually the same weekend as Bulls Gap, but so we were basing our Friday Saturday plans off of what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so Tuesday we qualified fairly well. I thought we qualified fourth, started outside pole of our heat, ended up running third in our heat race, started 12th, got up to I think 8th or 9th, and ended up, in typical Benji fashion, blowing the deck out and falling back to 12th. Well, then Wednesday we regroup, rebuild the deck, and go out and qualified second quick to Overton. Started on the pole of our heat, won our heat race, started fourth in the feature, and ended up running second on Wednesday night. And so that was kind of set that we wasn't going home to get the limited car, and we wasn't running the Ridge Runner deal on Friday and Saturday. So we ended up we did have to come home anyways. We were out of spare decking, we were out of quarter panels, had to make some new spring steel, some more T-bars, so forth, so on. But came home, regrouped, and with everything that happened on Wednesday and the caliber of cars that was there, the biggest thing that kept going through my head was Friday. We have to make sure and make a statement that Wednesday was not a fluke, that double nickel was on the map, that we belong, that we can run with these guys, and so forth, so on. And so that was going through the car with a fine-tooth comb on Thursday on our day off. Friday, finish up, get loaded up, get back to the racetrack. Went out and hot lapped and felt like I was just as good as I was Wednesday night. And then it showed in qualifying and went quick time in our group. Started on the pole of the heat. For anybody that has been to Volunteer or has watched a race at Volunteer Speedway, starting on the bottom is hard in general. And so plus it was already slick, plus the top where everybody was qualifying, it already took rubber a little bit. And so it just put me in a bad position. And I spun the tires on the initial start, got to second, and finished second in the heat race. So it put us starting fifth in the feature. And we, JD had got a flat tire while he was leading, and we got to third or fourth, like you said, there, and was riding and really hadn't even pushed the car yet. And I don't know what it was in the racetrack, or I do know that there was a wheel cover shoved in my nose frame. And so wherever that came from, there was a wheel cover that was shoved in my nose frame, and it was just half of the wheel cover. And so I ended up having problems steering, and I thought, in the car, maybe I had a brake issue, like my right front caliper was stuck, or something was going on, and it was just keeping the right front locked up, or maybe the fender had got into the tire and was just stopping the tire. And so I was trying to do everything that I could, and after falling back to 12th or 13th, I ended up just throwing my hand out the window and pulling in, and then lo and behold, had ran probably 4 or 5 laps with a right front tire going flat, and Bulls Gap is not a place that you want to do that. And so that took us out of contentions of a good top 5 finish there. And then going into Saturday, I was like, okay, well, we've got the we've got the qualifying, we've got the heat race. Now we just got to get our package for the feature and put a whole night together, and and go out there and went out late, qualified 6th, I think, in my group, and ran the last 3 laps of the heat race with a left rear flat tire right before it finally exploded, and
Oh, like,
took out spring steel, took out door bracing, took out decking, took out the my fire bottle hose. It took it out, ripped it
golly.
all. Yeah, and so we really didn't get to change too much for the feature to get prepared for the the racetrack as following the racetrack along the night. And so we put new body bracing on, some new spring steel, and just put gas in it pretty much. So we ran the feature the same way that we ran the heat race, and we was good. I could circle around the top really well. I could keep the right front loaded up into the banking, and where we didn't get to make any adjustments, we were still set up on the free sides, and so I could circle around the top really well. Which being set up on the free side, I'd imagine that I could early, and when the 4 came in, I knew that I was going to tighten up a little bit. So if I was too free, maybe I could start getting maneuverable and move around the racetrack. And I felt when the right rear came in, and I got after it there for a little while, and I really didn't want to punish the tire too much too early. And I think I came from 10th or so to me and Devin Moran ran side by side there for 7th or 8th, and then Carson Ferguson ended up getting by me while I was trying to slide Devin or get to his door at least. And then we were riding there in 8th, I believe, or 9th, and 9 laps to go. I was content with running where I was running, especially after starting 17th, and
Yeah,
passed some
definitely.
good cars. Yeah, absolutely. And I passed some good cars to get there, and I never had a vibration, never really picked up any kind of wheel spin, and come off of turn 2, and out of nowhere, just the right rear dropped and wheelied up on the left front, and I could hear the rubber just killing the sheet metal, and pulled in, went to the hot pit, and we changed the tire. And I was looking at it there after the feature, and like the tread wasn't hurt, like it was wore, but it wasn't killed. Then lo and behold, something had sliced it all the way across, and like in a spiral. And so I don't know if the casting came apart or if it was something that sliced it, but I do know that I got a text message the next day asking if I had got my shock back, and I didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, "I'm not missing a shock." And it's like, "Well, when you blew your tire, there was a shock and spring come rolling across the racetrack." I was like,
Oh,
"Man,
man.
it was not mine, so I guess that's what cut my tire." But
Golly.
all in all,
Nope.
though, for the competition that was there, I was very pleased with our performance. I was very pleased with the speed that we had, and then to be in contention up until Saturday, we hadn't started off the front row of a heat race, and
That's awesome.
I was tickled to death with that.
Yeah. From what I noticed, man, that there wasn't a whole lot of passing going on there. So if you were passing cars, I mean, that's saying something. I mean, because
Yeah,
I think Friday night, which is really the only night I really got to watch a whole lot of race because I didn't get there till Thursday. But um, I know Chris Ferguson moved up some. He moved through the field, and there were just a few, just the very few that were able to move up through that field. So I don't know. It's the first time I've been there since I was a little kid. I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to go over there and see it again. But I don't know if is that track always like that, or I mean, is it pretty passable, or
it usually it is. Which Vic's done a lot of work to it, and you can tell where he had done the work to where you could kind of complete a pass without having to slide all the way to the wall. Like used to, it was really dramatic in 3 and 4 where if you was going to slide somebody getting into 3, you was going to slide all the way to the outside wall before you ever got to the corner exit. And he had came in and changed the banking and made it to where you could still slide somebody, but when you slid them, you could slide to the corner exit before you had to be all the way to the top. And so it really put a strain on the pass because the guy that you're sliding had more room to make an opportunity to come down the hill and cross you over rather than it coming together there off of 4 and parking each other in the wall.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
People, people over here don't know how banked that is if they've never been there. We don't.
yeah, it's
I don't know
banked.
what the most banked track is here. I've never been down. I've got Solana High Banks over here pretty close to us, and I don't think it's anything like that. I haven't been around the infield of that place yet, but I've never been to a track where I was standing at the infield wall and a car was above me. I was looking up to see the cars. I mean, like I got a video of you actually coming around through there, and I was down on that 3 and 4 on the infield wall, and I'm like, holy cow, man, this is nuts. I mean, they're way up there. We just don't have stuff like that over here. It's awesome, to be honest
It
with you.
is. It's definitely wild too as a driver because you feel like, okay, well, I'm driving into the banking, but I still need to get the car turned. You don't. With the banking the way that it is, you literally just drive into the corner straight on the fuel and let the banking catch you and turn you.
Golly. I mean,
It's
how does
wild.
that feel, man? I mean, just like compared to normal track, how does that feel? I mean, is it kind of
Oh, it's a huge adrenaline rush. It's
a
a gut
bet?
check. I mean, like I've been to a lot of fast tracks, but you still you still check it, I guess you could say, on corner entry, and so you kinda get the car turned and set and then get back in the gas, but here or at Bulls Gap rather, if you set the car, you're 2/10 off the pace. You have to let the banking set you, because if you get the car too bent, then you're gonna get tight through the center, and then you're gonna snap coming off, but you have to drive into the banking and keep the car straight and momentum around there, and so and when I broke on Saturday, I got out of the car and just watching JD go around there is mind blowing. He literally drives that place like he's on the asphalt or like he's in an asphalt late model, and it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that place, man, I had a great time. And I guess there's, they say Tazewell's worse on the
Oh
banking.
yeah, yeah.
And I saw the old, 411 shut down. I mean, I know it's not like those, but compared to here, that was still pretty good.
hmm
And I don't know about some of the other ones, but so let's go back and start. How did you get into racing? First of all, let's start there.
So both of my uncles and my dad all raced. They were Billy. Billy was the Hicks brother that kind of got out and toured around and drove at in other states per se. He actually drove the Kevin Leroy Rumley 6 car for a while, and so Billy, Mark, and Tony, my dad, they were known around our area like at Friendship and 311 and uh, a few other tracks that it was the Hicks brothers, and so they were in racing. I was born into it. I was at the racetrack when I was 4 days old, with my with my feet in my mouth. My mom used to say, and she'd put me in a pack and play on top of the trailer, and that's where I stayed. And then I guess when I was 7, 8 years old is when I really knew that that's what I wanted to do per se, and started being involved in it and helping around the shop and doing what a 7 or 8 year old could. I was rolling tires around the shop and trying to put tires on and trying to learn as much as I could about it. And then I believe in 2010, my dad bought me and my brother bandoleros to run at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the 5th mile there on the front stretch, and then the 5th mile behind the racetrack, and then this is when Concord Motorsports Park was still open, and they had a 5th mile back behind there that we would race at too. And so that's where I got my start, was bandolero racing. And then in 2008, Friendship went back dirt, and Dad bought another dirt car. I'm not saying as a bad thing, but it took me and my brother out of the seat. And so me and my brother went back to working on Dad's car. We really didn't get to race that much. In 2012, 311 Speedway, another one of our local tracks, started a 602 series. And it was 602 motor, a claim rule on the carburetor, claim rule on headers, claim rule on shocks, no stacked springs. You could only run a certain bump stop, blah, 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 so forth, so on. So, like, the most cheap, economical way to get into a late model.
Yeah.
And Dad actually bought a car from G.R. Smith that he had been running and handed it down to me and my brother. And so we put a 602 motor in this thing, bought us a set of non-adjustable shocks, put coilover kits on, was running some old springs that Dad had laying around, and uh, we really did have a nice package. So we went and tested with Dad's car, and we based these non-adjustable shocks off of how my dad's car ended up at the end of the night, and he had double adjustable shocks. We was changing clicks, changing gas pressure, so forth, so on, and got them dialed in. And so we just had a set of shocks that was built off of that. And and so in 2012, me and my brother started dirt late model racing. We would alternate weeks. I'd run one week, he'd run the next, vice versa. And I think we ran 16 races total our first year. And he won 3 of the races that he ran, and I won 5 of the races that I ran. So out
Nice.
of the 16, we won 8 of them.
That's awesome.
My brother was leading. My brother got to drive first, and so there was a practice night on Friday night, and whoever turned the fastest lap out of me and him got to race the first night, and then that's when the alternating started. And he ended up turning a faster lap than me, so he got to run the first week. And he started on the pole, was leading the race, and was gone by a straightaway. And we were still green, so we didn't know what to do when you had a big lead. And he ends up spinning out. He goes back to the back of the field, comes back up through the field, gets to sack it, passing for the lead, and spins out again. And and so I still give him a hard time about that. And then the following week, I started on the pole and I led every lap, and I won my first ever dirt race.
Awesome.
And then, like I said, we alternated after that. And then that was in 2012 and 2013. I ran a few 604 races. My dad at that time had kind of stepped out of the car, and so we just ran my dad's car because he already had the 604 motor. And me and my brother still alternated. I think we ended up running like 4 races apiece or something like that. But it was also the year that I graduated high school and went to college to go play football. Realized football
Wow.
wasn't what I
Where'd
wanted
you
to
go to
do.
school at?
I went to Farrell in
Okay.
Virginia, which I didn't technically. I was there, but I never went to the first day of class. I realized that racing was more important to me than football.
I got you. I got you.
After high school, I'd realized that racing was what I wanted to do, and
I got you.
so I left from that and come back home. In 2014, I bought my dad's car with the 604 motor in it. Had an open trailer and a cube van, and I was working at a place here in town, moving furniture, putting new furniture in, and setting up model homes and so forth, so on. And then I was running on Friday nights at ArrowHead and running on Saturday nights at Friendship. And whatever money I had on Friday got me to Saturday, and whatever I had on Saturday got me to the next Friday. And and so it was literally paycheck to paycheck. And that's like I went through that struggle, and like I loved every minute of it. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. And then 20, I done that in 14, 15. In 16, Dad bought a rocket and asked me if he said, "I'll just pay the bills and you just drive the car." And so
Heck
so
yeah.
that was that was easy for me because
Yeah.
I was already struggling. So I done that. And in 16 we ran and won 4 or 5 races, something like that. And then
Now, were you running a series, or were you just picking and choosing with it?
We just pick and choose wherever which at the time we really hadn't even started doing any traveling. Like we had ran Harris one time, we had ran Antioch, we had ran Bulls Gap one time, Whitful one time, and like a few hit and miss fast track tour races, but wasn't really following any tour. And then in the meantime, I'd actually graduated. I'd ended up going back to college, and I got a associate's degree in applied science through race car technology with Richard Childress Racing at Versatility. And so I finished that, got my degree, got a job at Longhorn, and I worked at Longhorn for 3.5 years, something like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so in 2017, we bought our first Longhorn, and I actually got to build it, which was pretty cool. And
got to build your own Longhorn at Longhorn. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to build my first Longhorn, and so we really had no intentions of following a tour that year either. And we had ran, I think, maybe 1 or 2 local shows, and we went to Modoc one time, and then we went to Toccoa, Georgia for the first fast track tour race in 2017, and we won it by like 4 seconds. Like we were gone. And so after winning the first tour race, we was definitely set on, okay, we're just going to see where this thing goes, and we're going to run the whole deal. Ended up winning the whole tour in 2017. I think we won 24 races that year. Something like that. Yeah, like it didn't matter where we went. Like I felt like we was in contention everywhere. And the confidence was getting there. The confidence was a huge part of it. And in 2018, we backed it up with 25 wins. And in 2018, I got my first super win. We actually didn't have a super motor on Wednesday. On Thursday, we bought our first Clements motor from Boyer and went down there on Thursday and picked it up, put it in the car Thursday night, and went to 311 on Friday. And I qualified third and took the lead with like 19 laps to go on the outside and never looked back. And I ended up winning my first super race. So that was pretty cool. And it was the Bill Hicks Memorial that was in memory of my grandpa. So that made it even better.
Awesome. That is awesome.
There was a lot of tears shed that night, and it was definitely something that I will always remember. And then I know it sounds cliche, but the rest is pretty much history. 18 to now, we race as much as we can. And in 22, I decided that I wanted to do my own thing and build my own car. So that's when Double Nickel was born. Was in 2022.
That's awesome. I'll get with. I'll get. I want to talk about that here in a little bit, for sure. I want to talk to you about that. I want to get back though to the race, like the racetracks. So, how far did you Mount Airy? How far is that from Charlotte? Is it pretty close to Charlotte?
Yeah, we're an hour and 20-ish minutes.
Okay, so what tracks, like right now, what open tracks do you have that are close to you that you can run on besides the dirt track?
We've got Friendship Speedway. It's 20 minutes from home. And then we've got Ararat. It's literally 10 minutes from my house right here. Oak Level, it's about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. Then we've got Whitful. It's little over an hour and 15, 20 minutes. Then Carolina, it's about an hour and 30 minutes. And then Cherokee's not but 2 hours and 15 minutes, depending on how you hit Mooresville traffic. And I really think that's about it.
So that's what I was going to say, because I know North Carolina. I know North Carolina, I've heard, some had shut down or they've lost tracks kind of, here and there. So how far are those? And I know there are, like, somebody told me, at least 8 to 10 maybe tracks within a couple hours of Knoxville, Tennessee. Is that, do you race those a lot, East Tennessee?
Yeah, we ran 411 a few times. We ran Smoky Mountain a few times. obviously Bulls Gap, Tazewell. I've never got to go to. I really don't think I ran any other than that. In the Tennessee area, like I'd like to run the Clarksville and stuff like that, but just never have.
Now, I heard you mention 311. I think I've heard of that before. Did it get shut down?
Yeah, it's shut down. Yeah,
That's what I thought. I know I've heard of 311 before. And getting 411, obviously, and I wanted to see 411 when I came over there. I wanted to see what it was like. I'd heard about it.
yeah,
So, are all those tracks around you, do they have late model racing?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. This is
super, or like mostly like crate and sportsman stuff?
most of it's most of it's 602 stuff, 602, 604, the limited stuff. A lot of 525 racing in our area. I mean, you got the Blue Ridge Outlaws, then you got the Ridge Runner Series. Friendship has a limited late model class that I think it's a 365 cubic inch rule, but most of
Okay.
the motors in that class are 525s. And so a lot of 525 stuff in our area. And then like I said, you got the Ridge Runner stuff, which is unlimited cubic inch, but it's still got to be steel block 23-degree head stuff.
Okay.
But as far as like weekly super racing, you don't really have much of it. Friendship is trying to bring it back. Matter of fact, I think this weekend is their first weekly super race back, and this
Nice.
is the first time that weekly super racing has been back in I couldn't tell you how many years.
It's unheard of over here in my area. I mean, unheard
Yeah.
of. I mean, for sure. That's awesome, man. Hopefully that works out. I don't, and you've seen the stuff that's come out and about the $125,000 late model, race ready out the door. I mean, do you agree with that number?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's easy to rack up, especially super racing. I mean, just for instance, I know of a motor that was picked up today that the rebuild bill on the motor, and it was just lapped out. Nothing was wrong with it. It was just lapped out. The
Just
rebuild
freshened.
on it, yeah, like 20 grand. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like
Mm.
it's outrageous, but, I mean, at the end of the day, it's racers. I've always said this: racers are going to race. Racers are going to find a way to race. Like, does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. But if we didn't race, what else would we do? I pick and carry on. Like, oh, I'm
That's
gonna
it.
sell everything we got. I'm gonna buy a boat. In 2 weeks, I'd have to have the fastest boat, or I'd have to have the flassiest boat, or So like, it's in your blood. It's not gonna go
Right.
away no matter what you do.
If I've talked to some guys that have been on here, they tell me, they said, yeah, I mean, and one guy, Kip Hughes over in Uncle, he said, us racers are stupid. He said, we'll just do whatever we have to do. I mean, spend whatever we have to spend. So yeah, I mean, that, I understand that. I mean, I do. For me, something's got to be done. I don't even know how to say it, but like a cost of living raise on purses. I mean, something
Oh,
has to be done
yeah.
somehow to level it out a little bit. Now, like I know weekly racers, those guys probably aren't spending 125 on theirs, right?
Right. Yeah.
Mostly.
You're right. Yeah.
So
Because I mean, so, and I've watched bits and pieces of the interview that you done with Mike, and me and Mike are great friends. Uh, we've had a great relationship for years. Anytime I need help or got a question on something, I always reach out to him. But the number is not exaggerated.
right.
Most of the time you're dealing with like sheet metal, for instance, something as simple as sheet metal. It roughly takes 10 sheets of sheet metal to hang a body and decking on a car. You're talking 120 to $140 a sheet, depending on where you get it. And I mean, that's $1,200 $1,400 right there. And then you got spring steel, you got body brace kit, you got the plastics, you got to have the nose, the rockers, the wheels, tires, 235,
Yeah.
$245 a
How much,
piece,
how much is a bead lock?
uh, roughly $500 $600. And then an inner bead lock for the left rear is even higher. I mean, It is outrageous, and I completely understand. And for the way that we're racing, we probably don't need everything that we've got as far as my personal racing. Now, like if we was Lucas Tour racing or Woo racing or Hunt the Front or any of the other series, then yeah,
You got to have top line everything, don't you?
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, our we try our best within reason to run it as professional as we can, just because we've been around the professional teams. We've seen how they operate. I mean, we've got just across town here, Ricky Thornton Jr. and me and Bobby are friends, and KP and Ricky and all the guys over there. Like I can communicate and text any of them at any time, and I see how they run their program. And so, like, we notice how things are supposed to be done at a professional level. It's not always that, like, we can do that. Like, they've got spare front suspension put together in the trailer, or they've got spare rear ends put together in the trailer. They've got at least one extra, if not 2 or 3 extra of everything.
Yeah.
And, like, we take when we do get new parts, we take what used parts were taken off and get the best ones out of it, and then those go in the trailer for our spares. So like when we change rotors, we go through and pick out 2 of the best rotors that we've got and put them in our trailer for spares, just something as simple as a $160 rotor. Like, we can't just carry $160 rotors in our trailers. So we, take the best used ones that we got and put them on the trailer for spares. And calipers same way, and nose frames and nose skins. And even though I build all that stuff, but it still costs money to do it. And
Right.
so we try and run it as professional as we can within reason, and as financially intelligent as I guess as we can.
Right.
you know
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing that, and you did run good. I mean, you were up there. I mean, if it hadn't have been for, some mechanical stuff, or well, some luck stuff, I guess, and mechanical stuff. I mean, you came in second Wednesday night, you said, and won the heat race and stuff. So, I mean,
yeah
you're running with them.
yeah I'm can't remember who I said this to, and it may have been you. But at the end of the day, when you show up to a race such as the Gauntlet of Bulls Gap, and there is 13 of the 25 top ranked dirt late model drivers in the country in the pit area, do I want to go out there and win? Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
But in all reality, making the race, running top 10, being competitive, that was goals, like realistic goals. And I knew that if we didn't perform and was not in contention on Tuesday and Wednesday, that we was going home, that I was going to go run a different class at 2 other tracks. And I was okay with that, because as long as I get to race, I'm okay. But when you go out and perform the way that we did on Tuesday and we did on Wednesday and then we did on Friday, and then, Saturday, we didn't qualify that great. But when you don't start off the front row of a heat race until day number 4, I feel like that speaks volumes for our program and what we've got going on and the work that we've put in, and the late nights and the early mornings and the missing out on stuff because we're trying to be the best that we can be, and build a program, and build something that we can evolve our customer base around. Like, hey, we can perform with the top dogs out there. Like, you don't have
100%.
to go out and buy $65,000-$70,000 rollers, or however much they are, but you don't have to go out and spend top dollar on every bolt, every piece of equipment, because like I'm okay with running the second best grade, or whatever, and I feel like we showed that it can compete.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're out there in your own stuff doing it. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, and that was neat to see, man. So you were definitely out there hanging with those guys, and I mean, who knows? Hadn't been for tire issues, no telling what could have happened there. But how aggravating is that? Freaking
Very.
tires. And I know it's part of it. I know it's part of it. How aggravating is it to have a freaking tire problem cut you out of some
The
stuff like that?
the Saturday one hurt just because like I felt like I had busted my butt to get from 17th to 8th or 9th or wherever it was right there. We were inside the top 10. And I felt like I busted my butt and like I drove a clean race and a smart race to get there. And then the one on Friday really stung because we had ran Sackett on Wednesday. We had took Thursday, went through everything. The car was really, really good. Qualified quick time, was just riding. And then all of a sudden it's like a light switch and that right front started going down and that one really hurt. Like I was, for lack of better words, I was pissed off.
Yeah, I bet. I would
But
be.
but you're
But you're
right. I mean, it is part of it. And
yeah,
unfortunately, like, I've won races off of stupid stuff or stupider stuff than that. I've
I got
I've
you.
won I've won races for hell. I won a race at Virginia Motor Speedway one year, and Ross Bales was driving for my uncle, and he won, and I ran second, and he was 5 pounds light at the scales, and I ended up winning the damn race. Like,
Oh man, I just put that together. Did I just put that together?
what's that?
70, is it 79 car?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Is that
Billy. That's
your
my
uncle?
uncle. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just put
Yeah,
that together.
yeah, yeah.
I
He's
did
right here in Mount Airy too.
because you said Billy Hicks. So I'm sitting there. It's rolling around in my brain. Billy Hicks, Billy Hicks. I know that, and because I interviewed Jeremy Steele,
Yeah.
that he's got on there now, riding
Oh yeah.
or driving it now. Yeah, man. That's awesome. I just put that together, so I did not know that was your uncle. So that's pretty cool. And he's put some drivers through that thing too.
Oh yeah.
Donald McIntosh. He was in it last year at Thomas 100 down there. I talked to him. But
Yeah,
yeah, I've been watching that.
he ran the whole Lucas tour with them last year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so he does it. Your uncle does it. I mean, do you ever pick his brain about how hard it is to do that? I mean,
Like
like
run the
to
Lucas tour.
yeah, to run a national tour like that, like how much it takes to do
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah. We during the off season, not that we was going to run it by no means, but during the off season, we had several conversations just how much it took to do it and how much money and like what the kickback was and so forth so on. And I will say that I know the dollar amount that he spent and I know the dollar amount that he brought in. But to be financially correct, I guess it's almost to where if you run Lucas or you run World of Outlaws and you get the contingency sponsors and you get the
Right.
show up money and you get the guaranteed spot and the travel money and so forth so on, like that takes a lot of the oh well, I don't want to drive 8 hours here because we're not guaranteed a spot and then it looks like weather. Well, they didn't have to worry about that. And so I feel like that would be financially correct to do to do racing properly and to make the money, but I also know what it took to do it still, even with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I know I've talked to owners and stuff, and they say, I mean, upwards of 750 to $1 million a year to keep up with that stuff for a series. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just that's just staggering. But I mean, you're right. You get a bunch of stuff. I mean, show up money, loyalty, all that loyalty program if you sign up for them. So I don't know for sure how much that helps, but I'm sure it definitely has to take away some of the bite on that, at
Oh yeah.
least a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know tires are what, 250, 260 a piece.
Oh yeah. Every bit of it. And you go through top teams go through at least 5 to 7 a night.
Right. I mean, because they're pretty much going out. You pretty much have to go out on new ones, so at least a new right rear every time, like you hit the track, right? Just about.
Just about. Just about.
Yeah.
Just
That,
about.
that's tough. Uh, so Benji, tell me about double nickel race cars.
Well, it was
What are people going to get if they get a double nickel race car from you?
as much customer support as they can get. As much as they want, as much as they need. My phone is constantly ringing. My phone, I constantly get text messages. It's always on. Uh, if you can't get me, um, for customer support, my brother-in-law, it's me and him. Brian, me and Brian Lewis have been doing this together since day one. Uh, he knows just as much as I'm going to tell you, and he's done everything from hang the bodies to install cockpits to me and him are the only two that build the chassis to smashing shocks to grooving tires to mounting tires to scaling a car. It don't matter. We basically are two in the same. And it's, I guess, to say that you you get what the house car program gets is a sales pitch, because whether they say you are or not, or whatever they want to come up with, there's always going to be something that's not come out. And then, the next year it'll come out and then they'll be on to something bigger and better. But I really don't hide anything from my customers. The way you can walk in my shop and you can walk right to my car and you can measure anything you want to measure and you can put it on your car if it's not already like that. Then like that's just how it is. I've never understood why, and I mean I understand people do this for a living and you've got to have some kind of advantage per se, but
Yeah.
me as a chassis builder and an entrepreneur, I guess, I want my product to be the best that it can be. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen. Whether it's outrun me or if you're 6, 7 hours away, I want you to go outrun whoever's there. I want my cars to win no matter what. Just the North Carolina Speed Weeks deal here at Friendship. I won one race and I ran 6 races and I won one race. But Double Nickel won 4 of the 6.
That's awesome.
My cousin literally won 3 of the 602 races, and I ran second to him twice.
Nice.
That means more to me than winning the race myself.
I got you.
And so,
Now, we talked about this the other night. Let me ask you about this. So, how much room is there? How different are these cars? I mean, is there a huge difference in between any of these cars? Because don't they have to be pretty close to the same because of the rules?
as far as the majority of the chassis setup, yes. I mean, you can do different stuff with pickup points and tubing thicknesses and stuff like that. But as far as the whole entire layout, like, yeah, there is a rule in place for that, and there is certain thickness rules that you have to obey by, and they will check, and they check the diameter of the tubing and so forth, so on. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with pickup points. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with front end geometry, rear end geometry. How things react with a different corner of the car, and then there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the shocks and with the springs and so
Right.
forth, so on, and wheel offsets. Wheel offsets isn't as big in late model world as it is in the modified world. But I mean, I know people that are messing with different diameter wheels as far as offsets and then widths. And I think Lucas actually came out with a rule last year or something about the width rule on the wheel of what it's got to be. And so, in a nutshell, there is only so much that you can do with it. Yes, but also there's a large gray area.
I got you. Well, there needs to be. There needs to be room for innovation and stuff. I mean, there just has to be. So the big thing is customer service, basically, is what you're getting. I mean, that's the difference in between. I know freaking Longhorn's pumping out a bunch of them. Rocket probably pumps out a bunch of them. I don't know what kind of customer service that they give, but I mean,
One,
I was
two,
assuming.
when I'm at the racetrack with my customers, or when I'm at the racetrack racing myself, if I have 4 customers there that are in double nickels, well, when they come and talk to me, they're not just talking to a guy that works at double nickel or a guy that is turning wrenches on a double
A
nickel car.
representative.
They're talking to the guy that builds them, that welded them together, that assembled them to like, I can tell you any measurement on those cars at any given time. And that's just like, that's how it should be. And so I can tell you where your load numbers need to be or where I run my load numbers at. I don't know if it's always right, but I can tell you where those needs to be. And then, I've gotten into to now we got a shock dyno at the end of the year last year, and I'm messing with it and starting to understand it. And,
How
so
hard is that? I've
the
heard
shock
all these
dyno,
guys. Yes, it's like, I mean, you got to be a scientist to do that, or what?
well, I pick and carry on people when they ask me. And, like, for example, we was at Screven earlier this year, the very first race of the year, and I was in the trailer messing with shocks and dynoing the shocks, just killing some time that night. And somebody come in and said, "Benji, you about got them dialed in?" I said, "Well, hell, I don't know." I said, "But it's making a lot of squiggly lines." And so, so I mean, I can get it to operate, and I can make it make the graph, but I'm I'm finally starting to learn a little bit more about the graph and what the graph needs to be and when you need to change the graph and so forth, so on. So I'm finally starting to understand that a little bit more, which I feel like helps. I got a great shock program with Sammy and Pete, and they've helped me out along the way. And hell, at Bulls Gap, I had a right rear shock that I was in question about, and we're in between heat race and feature time, and I've got it apart, and I'm running it on the dyno, and I'm on the phone with them, talking to them about the graph and sending them
Trying to
pictures of
get
the
all that
graph and what
done.
it looks like. Yeah, and so you know, not only do you get the customer support from me, but you get in and you buy into the double nickel program, you get the customer support from them, and they're great help. And, like it was 9:30 on a Friday night, and I'm on the phone with them and sending them pictures of a graph like, "Hey, what do we need to do here?" and so forth, so on. And so like I try and surround my people. I try and surround myself with people that I want to be involved in the program. And and so like when you get into the double nickel, like you're not only getting my support and Brian's support and customer support, like you've got an entire team of people that's in the program together. It's just you buying in and doing it. You know what I mean? And so I feel like we've got a really good balance. We've got a really good base package right now, and I honestly feel like we could unload about anywhere right now and be competitive. And I know that sounds arrogant and probably cocky, but it's not. Like I'm just that confident in what we've done and what we've put in and the work in the shop and the late hours and like I said, the early mornings and so forth, so on. It's just I think it speaks volumes for a small team like us. And then too, to go back to like we've got 26 chassis out there and we've got 3 to build, and we've got a great customer base that is all on board. Like my customers, if they need something, they know that they can call me. And so I feel like it's a really good deal because it's more like family than it is just customer based.
Yeah,
Like
that's nice.
it's like I can tell you my customers on first name basis. I talk to my customers. I talk to my double nickel drivers. A lot of the times I get Sunday debriefs, and so I'll spend an hour or so on Sundays texting customers back like, "Hey, we ran third or fourth or qualified quick time or whatever, and then we didn't make the right adjustments for the feature. The track done this. This is what we done to the car. Okay, well, let's bounce some ideas off of each other. This is what I done, and this is what I done for those track conditions, and so forth, so on." So, like, I try and help them build a notebook, and so they're as prepared as we can be for future reference and future times of the track doing the same thing and following along.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. I mean, that seems like that'd be pretty important to me. I mean, it really, really does. So your chassis, and I've heard this the last couple of weeks. I've heard this. So your chassis can be used for any late model class.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got 3 of
I know
the
you
cars
probably answered that
myself.
earlier.
I've got 3 of the cars myself that are mine, and I can run. I got a 602, a Limit, and a Super, and I can run the 602 as a super car. I can run the Super as a 602 car. I can run the Limited as either. It's all the same chassis.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about that. I heard a few things about that. Like I said, the last couple of weeks. So I just wanted to ask you about that. So if, what's your goal for double nickel? You just get as spread out and get them out there as much as possible.
To a certain extent, if I sell 5 to 8 cars a year, I'm content with that. Like, I don't have to sell 45, 50, 60 cars a year. I'm good with 5 to 8. With 2 things with that. One, I can keep my word and not spread myself too thin with the customer support and the open notebook and so forth, so on. But 2, I can control the quality. Like, I take a lot of pride I take a lot of pride in our welds looking good, uh, the powder coat looking good, the sheet metal work looking good. Like, we're not just cookie cutters. Like, we're still old school. We cut our decking by hand, we notch our decking by hand, we cut our bodies by hand, we drill the holes for the bracing by hand. Like, we do. It's not cookie cutter stuff. Like, we don't have stacks and stacks and stacks of water jet stuff there. Not saying that the water jet stuff is bad, because yes, it would speed it up, but I feel like that's us going the extra mile to be the hands-on and to control the quality of our product and making sure that it's of our standard.
Okay. All
So
right.
if I can do 5 or 8 a year, I'm perfectly content with that. Like, I don't want to outgrow myself per
I got
se.
you. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. You can keep a handle on it personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. And still get that, good quality customer service and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'd like to see some of them over here out west. That's what I'd
I
like to
got a
see.
I got a phone call I need to return.
I got you. I got you. But yeah, I'd like to see some more, man. I'd like to see some more competition, man. I just want to see competition. I
Oh,
think it's crucial to
it
anything to
it
have
is.
competition.
It's what makes the world go round.
Right. 100%.
I
And
mean,
I mean, this is a competitive world.
it is. Absolutely. And like I've said, I'm not throwing any shade towards Rocket. I'm not throwing any shade towards Longhorn or Warrior or Excel or any other chassis brands out there. But I mean, it's no secret that Longhorn and Rocket have been the top of the map for a while now.
Yep.
Well, sometime, somewhere, somehow, there's got to be another guy come in, whether it be a double nickel or a Warrior or an Infinity or whatever brand it may be. Like, something's got to happen to make the world continue to go around, because sooner or later it's going to be all Rocket or all Longhorn, and then the small guys like us are gone.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you to get a double nickel chassis?
Uh, well, you can message the page on Facebook, Double Nickel Race Cars by BHR Fabrication. I've got a personal page. You can search me and message me on there. You can message my racing page, Benji Hicks Racing. My website, benjihicksracing.com. It's got a drop down that's got a email that comes directly to us, and you can email that way, or you can call and you can call or text anytime at 336-755-7033. And, a lot of people don't put their personal number out there, but that's also my business number. So uh,
I got you.
it's always a phone call or text away, and happy to help and happy to talk. And I try and keep updated price sheets on my phone. So if you got a question about what's a roller cost, or what's a chassis this way cost, or so forth, so on, and, I can shoot you over a picture and go from there.
Okay. What's your build time on one right now?
Well, right now we're 3 behind. And so So it usually takes us roughly. We've got a record of we actually did build a car or just a chassis and gone to the powder coater in 4 days. Just me and my brother-in-law. But realistically, a week and a half on the chassis, and then probably 3 or 4 weeks once it comes back from powder coater. And I will say that is a downfall with being a small team, because I I don't have the funds, I don't have the money to set on 4 of everything or 3 of everything or whatever. And so a lot of it is, okay, we get a deposit on the chassis, we have the tube in there, and we have the tabs and the bracketry and the mounts and everything that we need for the chassis. And then once that's gone and gone to the powder coater, then we get, okay, well, we've got to order this, this, and this. And that's our first step. And then, once that's done, then we go to the next step. And I don't have, $40,000-$50,000 laying around to just buy in and have product just stacked up everywhere. Nor do I really have the room for it. But we make it work. We get the job done.
I gotcha. Benji, man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking to me. Definitely like to get a 55 back here on this wall at some point. That'd be super
We'll make
cool.
that happen.
That'd be super cool. But man, it was good meeting you at Volunteer, and I'm glad I got to talk to you and get you on here and get your story and pick your brain about a few things. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy and talking about racing and my business and where we came from and how it started and how we grew and where we're going and what our goals are. And I feel like it gives a lot of people a behind the scenes kind of deal. And I've been saying for years really that I needed to start a YouTube and carry a
You
GoPro with
definitely
me
do.
and do a chassis deal and do a chassis build and just carry a GoPro with me the whole time and show along the way. I really think something like that would be cool.
I think it'd be super cool, and if you do it, let me know. I'll push the fire out of it.
Absolutely.
I will, because I'd love to see it 100%.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd freaking come hang out with some of y'all every once in a while, but I can't be gone from the farm that long, so I can't do it. I mean, if I want to see one built over here, it's going to be a modified, and I want to go see a late model. You know what I mean?
Hell, just bring the farm with you.
I can't do it. My wife's hairy cows, they wouldn't travel. They wouldn't travel very far. She's got those freaking Highland cows, and they're spoiled rotten, man. Spoiled rotten.
The long shaggy hair.
100%. And like they eat out, they're so tame, they eat out of dog, like bowls. They eat out of bowls like a dog. Crazy. But anyway, no joke, Benji, thanks for coming on. Everybody go check out Double Nickel, and I'll link all that in the description here, and I'll tag you on all the clips. Man, again, thanks for coming on. Hopefully I get to see you race again here soon in person.
Absolutely. Maybe we can come up there for the topless.
Man, that'd be super cool. That would be super cool if you did.
I haven't ran topless since 2013-ish.
Yeah, so that'd be cool, man.
Might just have to make sure the bait's full.
I know some of them East Coast are coming. I know Dale said he was coming, Dale McGow, so I think he races it every year, but I know he's coming and hopefully some more, man. So yeah, that'd be super cool to see down there.
I'd love to come.
All right, man. Thanks, Benji. Appreciate it.
All right. Yes, sir, Skip. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.